Can I hold him?
Sure. I don't see why not. He seems to like it.
Don't have to believe. Just
Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
Sarhafti, Gudatru.
Oh, I'm on the wrong script. I just looked at it and was like, why did you put hungry floating heads?
Oh, yeah, because last week I said it was episode 69, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
This is episode 69, nice.
Yep.
So that'll just be the title.
Episode 69, nice.
Nice. That one, not the name of the movie. Hey there, Psycho Sisters, Love Rune Carvers, Cliff Jumpers, and students who get a little too curious.
Welcome to another episode of What Happens in the Crypt.
Today, we're talking about the 2019 Ari Aster movie, Midsommar.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Sean.
This was originally a co-production between the United States and Sweden, and when it was pitched to Aster, it was supposed to be a slasher film set among Swedish cultists. A slasher.
It deviated from that a little, I think.
But obviously, if you've seen this movie, you know it's very much about the relationship between Danny and Christian. And Aster has said that he devised a screenplay using elements of his past relationship when he endured a difficult breakup. And so the movie is basically a breakup movie dressed in the clothes of a folk horror film.
A brief synopsis. A couple travels to Scandinavia to visit a rural.
Oh, no.
I always struggle with rural. A couple travels to Scandinavia to visit a rural hometown's fabled Swedish Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. Sure.
The only tagline for this movie is "Let the festivities begin."
It's perfect.
And as far as trigger warnings,
There's a lot.
There's a lot of weird stuff that happens in this movie. But right off the top, there is a really gruesome murder-suicide, but there's also just gore. People are going insane as the movie progresses. There's a lot of, like, mental instability shown.
The most uncomfortable sex scene I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yep.
To start things off, as a Halloween gift, Christy got me the extended edition, or the director's cut.
It's been sold out for a while. It's really cool. It's worth just owning because of the packaging it's in.
And it's got a little booklet of art and a foreword by Martin Scorsese, which is interesting.
Did you read it?
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and read just like 4
I just
pages.
was curious if you read it, because I haven't.
I did. But it also has like 40 pages of art from the movie. It's cool. And it's wrapped in like a fabric.
Yeah.
It's very
It
nice.
looks like a book,
It does,
kind of.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a book. And then the DVD sits in the book.
But yeah, I think I honestly felt like I liked the director's cut more than what we got with the one.
With the main,
Yeah.
the theatrical release. I did too. The director's cut gives a lot more context that you miss.
Yeah, and it's only like, it's maybe a half hour longer
It is a
in
half
total,
hour
but it's
longer.
all these like little 2 or 3 minute long scenes that just add a lot more to the characters.
Yeah, because in the movie, there's times where it feels like people might be overreacting, or
Yeah, like flying off the handle, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, because we missed the 3 tiny scenes where, like, especially between Christian and Danny, where
there's a lot more build up.
where he's like gaslighting her over and over again, getting mad at her over nothing, even while
Christian
they're
is
in
more of a
Sweden.
dick.
Yeah, he's way more of a dick. So it's like kind of like, oh, they just were not communicating in the regular, movie, but yeah, it adds a lot.
There's actually scenes where both of them are dicks more.
One of the scenes that I really loved the dialogue of was where Christian gets mad at Danny because she gave him flowers, and he says that line that's something like, "You're giving me flowers," and it's just, I can't remember what the line was, and I feel more trapped. Something like that.
I think it was in regards to him he forgot her birthday. He's like, "You're just rubbing it in my face."
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a lot more
He
scenes
sucks.
like that.
He just really sucks.
There's also a lot not a lot more, but there's more rituals that are cut out of it, out of the theatrical release that are added back in. There's just a lot more that you get to understand, and a lot more you get to know the characters.
Right.
There were a lot of scenes where you're watching it and you're like, I don't remember them saying these things, or did this end here?
Yeah.
And it's always like, it's not just a 30-minute chunk got cut.
Right.
It's throughout the whole movie, you're like, oh, this conversation is actually twice as long here.
And yeah, definitely, like, we did watch it in 2 segments, because it is just so long.
Did we?
But, yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that.
Yeah, we didn't finish it in one day.
Yeah, it's almost 3 hours. It's just under 3 hours. But it's good. I wish that was the theatrical version. Because I'll watch a 3-hour movie if it needs to be 3 hours.
Yeah.
I thought this was actually just kind of funny, was the whole thing is Sweden, but the movie was shot in Hungary. And I don't know why. Maybe it was cheaper to shoot it in Hungary.
I don't know why either.
Maybe the views were better in Hungary. And in the script, Danny and her friends all live in New York, and her parents live in Minnesota. But all of the U.S. scenes were filmed in Utah. I never would have known that.
Right.
Before production even began, Ari Aster wrote what's termed, he calls his Bible for the movie, and it's 100 pages of notes. A lot of it is like about the rituals or what he wanted to show in the movie. And this was something that most of even the cast didn't know was made. He didn't just openly show it to people. It was something he had worked on for over a long period of time. And in an interview, hold on, there's a lot of names here. In an interview, the actors who played Josh and Mark and Pele, they were actually asked about Aster's Bible. And the actors who played Josh and Mark had never heard of it. This was just something he could have to keep his attention to detail so high.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a, like, nerd. Of course.
Yeah. William Jackson Harper, who plays Josh, is actually the only American actor in the film. Jack Rayner, who plays Christian, although born in Colorado, is Irish. Florence Pugh is English, and William Poulter is also English. All other supporting actors are either Swedish, British, or Hungarian.
The actor who plays the old man that commits suicide during the Ättestupa, which I'm probably saying incorrectly, his name was Bjorn Andersson, and he's actually a famous Swedish actor, and at one point was called the most beautiful person in the world. And I'm very interested to find this. His real life was apparently full of tragedy, and he was a part of a documentary called The Most Beautiful Boy in the World.
What? What's his name? Bjorn Andersson?
Bjorn Andersson. I'm sure it has, like, I'm not pronouncing it exactly right, but...
Bjorn? Oh, wow, he is actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He's a beautiful boy.
He is a beautiful boy.
Yeah, I'm very curious about it, but, like, he's so striking in the movie, like, his eyes.
Just download that image. We'll post
that sounds creepy.
We're gonna post a picture of him. I'm not just saving these to have.
Because, yeah, like, in that scene when he jumps and there's, like, the close-up of him looking at the woman, like, he's just so striking. Like, his eyes are so blue.
In Danny's apartment, there is a painting of a bear and a woman wearing a crown hanging over her bed. You probably noticed it, because I sure do every time.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
It's giant. I'm going to say this wrong. This is the painting Stalker's Base Bus? Stakars Bus?
Just pick a guess and go with it.
Stakars Basse.
Stacker's Base.
Stackers. Let me. That's the real American way. Stacker's Base. By Swedish painter John Bauer, famous for his art based on Swedish folklore and mythological creatures. Obviously, they used a lot of this imagery in the movie, with the flower crown and the bear.
Mark has an extreme fear of ticks, which is apparently based on Ari Aster's real-life fear of bugs and illness. And Ari on set would actually wear 2 pairs of socks over his jeans to make sure he did not get bitten by anything.
He's such a nerd.
He's such a nerd. Howard, do you remember when you got a tick when we came back from up north?
Yes, I screamed.
Yeah.
Because it was on me.
It was on you. I pulled it off.
I know. I screamed.
That's funny.
I don't want to be bitten by a tick. I'm not afraid of them. I want them to die.
Yeah.
It startled me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to defend myself to you.
Okay.
I kill all spiders and centipedes for you.
It's true.
Jack Rayner, the actor who plays Christian, originally was not supposed to be nude in the movie. He was actually supposed to put a robe on, the same one that he entered in, and put it on and then run away. But Jack himself suggested that he run out naked to appear more vulnerable and to appear in less of a... to be in more of a mentally unstable state, that he didn't even think to grab it.
Right.
So, his reasoning was that Rayner was inspired by having recently watched The Last House on the Left. Like many films in horror, female characters are disrobed, humiliated, or assaulted before their demise. And he felt that it was due time that male characters be made to suffer similarly.
It's true, because there's also never any, like, full frontal nudity in an R-rated, like, mainstream horror movie of a man, ever.
Yeah.
But always women. And this quote from him, he said he saw it as an opportunity to take a character who exhibits a lot of archetypal male characteristics, like male toxicity, who has all of the stuff stripped away from him through the course of the film, and then ultimately finds himself in this situation, which is kind of the ultimate humiliation.
Yeah, I think it was brilliant for him to do that. It's a very striking scene. It's very disturbing when he just, like, he even, like, holds the his hand to block the sun, and he's just naked.
Yeah, he, like, bursts out of the shed, and it's like, oh my god.
And also, his character is high.
Yeah. I hate that part.
And the shed he runs to is not close.
No. I hate just the beginning of the end of that whole scene when he knows he's really high, and remember he turns to the guy next to him and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?"
And he
the
claps in
his face. I hate that part. Mm-hmm. I hate it.
It's very uncomfortable. That from there on out, the whole movie is uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's rough.
Immediately after the scene, as I just said, he runs to the shed, and this is where he finds Simon. Mm-hmm. Now, this wasn't just some random torture. This is actually a ancient Viking ritual called the Blood Eagle.
I actually literally remember when we saw this in theaters for the first time, being like, "That's a blood eagle."
I know. I already knew what that was. Because I'm a nerd. So, skip 15 seconds ahead if you don't want to hear what the blood eagle actually is. In a blood eagle, a victim is placed prone, then their ribs are severed from their spine. Well, first you have to cut the skin open, then the ribs are severed from the spine, then separated, and then, so those are the flaps, those are like the wings. Then, in the severed ribs, flaps,
Stop saying flaps.
their lungs are placed on top, and that creates the wings. Now, this would not kill somebody right away. It takes several hours to die from this. And eventually you die due to blood loss. And actually in the scene when Christian finds him, Simon is still breathing, although he dies shortly after.
Yeah. However, we don't see Connie die. We do see her corpse being wheeled to the yellow building at the end of the movie. And she's wet and bloated. And I guess you can assume that she may be drowned. But in the extended edition, we do see a scene where the villagers... Do we call them the villagers?
I think so.
Is that appropriate?
I guess.
Okay. Try to sacrifice a little kid by throwing him into the lake with rocks tied to him. Mm-hmm. So that kind of would help you understand what happened to Connie, most likely, because there is a point in the movie where we hear her screaming when Danny's in the kitchen helping prepare dinner. And she's also wearing the same robe that the little boy that they almost dunked was wearing.
Almost dunked. Get dunked. Mm-hmm. But that is one of the scenes where I can't believe they cut out.
It was just, the movie's so long.
I know, but it's this whole scene. Like, this scene is more upsetting than the old people jumping, almost. Mm-hmm. It's not as gory, but it's, what? The kid was probably...
Like 8?
6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And somebody's holding him, and then they hand him a giant rock.
Like a boulder they put on his, like, stomach, and then there's someone holding his hands and someone holding his feet, and they start to swing him, and they're gonna
swing him.
Yeah. And then eventually someone's like, he's proven that he is pure of heart, and...
The Americans are yelling.
It's not even the Americans. I think it's his mom, but Danny is there at that scene.
Yeah.
And Danny is like just all fucked up. Poor Danny.
Oh, and I thought this was just a interesting little tidbit is that at the beginning, the kids are playing the game Skin the Fool, which is ultimately what happens to Mark. Mm-hmm. He is the fool.
He is the fool.
That actor is either he's just a really good actor who is typecast and always has to be that character, or he is just an asshole in real life.
I don't think he's an asshole in real life.
I'm just saying either that's him in real life or he got really pigeonholed into that character. Mm-hmm. Oh, whenever I see him, I think that he's just Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah, he does look like him.
I know.
That's weird.
And he's always like that kind of character.
I always think, did you ever see the movie Meet the Millers? It's like a black comedy. He was in that. And that's what I always think of him as.
Don't you own it?
I do on Blu-ray. Someone got it for me.
I guess we should watch it.
It's kind of funny. You'll probably hate it. It's like one of those like early 2000s comedies that they were like spewing out. Towards the end of the movie, and actually I had never noticed this until we read about it and then actually forced myself to find it. But when Danny is lifted onto the pedestal to be carried to dinner, you can actually see her sister's face in the trees with an exhaust tube in her mouth, and she's like blended into the
It's
forest.
made of trees.
Yeah. It's scary once you notice it.
Yeah. You can't not see it. And did we rewind to see it? Or did I know it was coming up?
We knew it was coming up and we saw it, yeah.
I had never noticed this. And it's in more than just the director's cut. It's in the regular cut.
Right.
You just have to be looking in the background.
For the last 25 minutes of the movie, neither Danny or Christian has any dialogue.
It's all just
Crying.
clap to the face. Silence. Awkward
Because
looking.
he doesn't even say anything. I think that's his last line, is when he asks what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't say anything else the rest of the movie.
Nope. He's just like looking at Danny when
Or maybe
she
he says like,
leaves.
oh God, or something when he's in the weird sex barn. But
Nope, he didn't say anything. All those women say things. I love the part where the mom starts singing in his face.
oh yeah, it's horrifying.
Oh my god.
Everything that happens in that scene, and he's so high. It's horrible.
He's so high, the old lady starts pushing on his butt. That is horror.
That is like absolutely like the best description of it's so uncomfortable and horrible that you laugh. Because it's not funny. It's terrifying.
It's horrific.
But it makes you laugh every time because it's like, how the fuck is this happening?
It's the singing that always gets me. I just laugh.
I feel like I
'cause
always forget about it.
That's something where
Because she's singing to comfort the girl, but it's right in his face.
that's something where we watch zombie movies, ghost movies, like, oh yeah, I wouldn't be scared if that was me in real life. But if that was me in real life, I think I would just die there. Then and there, have a heart attack.
Ugh, horrible. At the end of the film, the final shot is Danny smiling, which is like really spooky, and she looks right into the camera. And I guess her expression is almost an exact replica of the sun on the mural at the very beginning of the movie, which I'll have to go back and double check. But it's not like her natural smile. It's very a weird expression for the way the movie ends. So
If you listen to the last episode, this is how we ended it.
I didn't think you actually were going to, and it like spooked me when I was listening. I was like, oh no.
The other scariest scene in the movie.
Yeah. The group cry after.
Scream.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to
It's
say that a
horrible.
lot, I guess. Because
Yeah.
these are the kind of movies that actually freak me out.
And stick with you.
Because I'm sure this has happened. Maybe not this exact scenario. But a weird
That there
cult
are communities
thing,
that do
commune
these things,
has done
yeah.
something like this.
But obviously filming that crying scene was not going to be easy for anyone involved. And Florence Pugh had even said, or Plow. I always think it's Pugh.
It is Pugh.
Did I type Plow, but it's Pugh? Am I wrong?
Hold on. I thought it was Florence Pugh.
I think it is, but I wrote Plow.
Yes. Her name is Florence Pugh, and
It's not Plow.
It's not Plow.
Okay. Anyways, Florence Pugh said that her and the other women that were about to participate in that scene were dreading it for like days.
I can't stop laughing.
Stop.
I'm just looking at the script. Florence Plow.
Shut up. But yeah, they all were kind of dreading doing this scene because it was going to be really hard. And
Well,
Florence...
it's so unnatural.
Yeah, and it's awkward, and it's like, it's not... They have to get really, like, weirdly intimate.
But that's why it's so scary, is
Yeah.
because if I'm crying, it's fine if you're crying with me.
Mm-hmm.
But if, like, 10 people were ugly crying with me and joined in only because they saw me crying,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's not how people are supposed to act.
But anyways, Florence said, quote, "On this film, in this scene, I found a true sisterhood. We all looked at each other before we started rolling and knew it would be hard and awkward and strange and unnatural. And we knew it wouldn't be pleasurable, but by the end, we were all in each other's laps and crying and allowing our bodies to keep heaving," end quote.
I feel like that's the only way you could do it, is you just gotta give it your all.
You just have to
and be-
fucking accept it's gonna be horrible.
Yeah.
And like also for her too, she had to lead it. So it was like she was gonna be echoed, which like, ugh.
Yeah, even just thinking about it. But when I was editing the end of the last episode, I said, it always gives me the worst chills.
Yeah.
Just hearing it. Mm-hmm. I can still hear it in my head.
I thought this was just worth mentioning, but the score for the movie was by Bobby Krilic, and if that name sounds familiar, it's because he's also the Haxon Cloak, an indie experimental artist.
I don't think I understand a word you just said to me.
I'm just saying who did the
Krilic?
music.
Krilic. Bobby Krilic. Haxon Cloak. A lot of cool names. The original edit of this film was NC-17. And this is the director's cut. The 30 minutes that were cut were due to content. Which is weird, because there's nothing, like, too nuts, content-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, the
'Cause
killing of a kid.
I was a little nervous even just watching it because like I didn't know what was going to be added. But yeah. And when the movie was released in Sweden, many people laughed, and the Swedish critics actually praised this as a black comedy.
An excellent black comedy.
And also, the Swedish horror fans were bummed that it was not released during Midsummer, but it was a few weeks later.
I thought this was a very smart thing that Ari Aster did, and most of the Swedish dialogue spoken by the Harga natives is not subtitled on purpose, because they didn't speak Swedish. I don't speak Swedish, so I had no idea what they were saying.
You know what this
And
made me think of, though?
Huh.
Was how we watched A Quiet Place without subtitles on accident and thought that there weren't.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought of. Like, we didn't know American Sign Language. Why
Yeah.
would we know what was going on?
It makes you feel isolated.
Exactly. This movie, for the most part, all of the effects are practical, and
They got the camera high. I'm just kidding. Obviously, that's
Oh, Jesus Christ. I did not understand what you meant.
the effects of them being high is obviously computer generated.
Yes.
But almost all the rest
The
is.
gory stuff is
Yes.
practical. Oh my god, that confused me. I thought you meant like high up, not like high. Oh my god.
Like stoned.
I get it now. So the practical effects were done by a Hungarian company called the Film Effects. And the main guy...
Even in Hungary, film teams have stupid names, just like here.
And the main guy who I'm going to be quoting from this article, his name was Poharnuk, who was the lead on the makeup. But for the first thing, the old man jumping. So obviously in that scene, you get them smashing his head in with a mallet, and to create a fake head that they would only have one shot at squishing would take like a long time to have it be super realistic. So what they did do was they built a head that would collapse in on itself with the push of a button so they didn't have to smash it. There were cylinders located in the fake head above each section of the skull, imploding it from the inside. And most of the mechanics were hidden. The head even squirted fake blood, and then with the push of a button, the whole thing would reset. And they only had to wipe blood off in between takes, rather.
It looks great.
And it's funny, too, because there is, like, when Danny has, like, her dream and she thinks about it, it shows it squishing and getting bigger.
Yeah.
And so I think that was really just how they did it,
Yeah.
as opposed to, like, playing it in reverse.
That's so cool. Imagine just having that, like, after the fact. Bet Ari Aster just has it in, in his office.
Does he want to see something cool? And he hits the button. Yeah. As far as the bear goes, they had to build it from scratch. The same bear had to be used for both the autopsy scene and the burning scene, which was pretty complicated. And when they started creating it, they didn't have Christian cast yet. So it had to function both ways. Quote, "We had to create the bear to be partially a costume and partially a dummy bear with loads of fake guts that they could play with."
Oh, that's right. They show them gutting it.
And the original version of the bear burning scene included a practical effect that went even further than what we did see, which was his eyeball exploded and his face was melting, which they edited out.
You do see his face melting.
But no eyeball exploding.
No.
Yeah, but they did do that. But it's not in the extended version either. It's just they were like, too much.
That's something that most things get cut out for either length or because they're told it's too much. This just felt like it was unnecessary. It's cool.
Yeah.
They probably, on set, Ari Aster was like, well, let's try it. If it looks good, it looks good. But it just seems unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's not adding anything.
Right.
His gore seems to just be story-driven, which is the best kind.
And you
It's
would
not
love
over the
that the head was like a inflatable, deflatable head.
I do
So
love
cool.
that. It's so cool.
So yeah, I am happy that there was not an eyeball exploding.
No.
And I think that would have just left like bad taste in your mouth. 'Cause
Especially
that's
right at the
end.
end.
Yeah. So good call, guys. On one of the weirder marketing things that they did for this movie, they realized that, A24 rather, realized that this was not going to be a feel-good date night movie.
We thought it was a good date movie.
Was it feel-good? No.
No. Not gonna feel good. We should probably still make it.
But so to promote it, they had a contest where the award was winning participants would win 3 months of free couples counseling, courtesy of Talkspace.
Maybe people watch this and we're like, maybe we should get some counseling.
Before I become the May Queen and burn you in a bear suit.
You are my May Queen, baby.
Thank you. Is that in a nice way?
You can burn me if you want. Shut up. Step on me. Okay.
Shut up.
A24 also decided to do a charity auction with props from this movie.
Which, do you remember when it happened? Because we were following it.
I bid on one of the things.
Yeah. What did you bid on?
What was it?
I know.
I think it was the bear headdress.
Okay. I remember watching it and it got up so quick. There was no way, but
No, I bid when it was...
like $20.
No, like 1,000.
Yeah.
I bid when it was at 1,000, I think. But I think it started around there. I can't remember what it started at.
I remember specifically like watching the bidding happening.
Yeah. Once it went, I was like, I'm gonna bid 1,000, but I cannot do more than that.
Yeah.
So, I lost. It ended up selling. The bear headdress sold for $4,700, which is lower than I thought, honestly.
Yeah.
The mallet used for crushing the skull sold for $10,000, and then various villager costumes sold for $4,500. But one of the most expensive things was they sold the May Queen gown.
The final, like,
Big flower
ridiculous
dress.
thing, yeah.
That sold for $65,000. For our next episodes, they're going to be minisodes. They're going to be shorter, or whatever we feel we have time for. I don't know. It might be a movie. It might be a TV show we wrap up. But, we're buying a house.
Yeah, that's gonna take priority.
So that's priority. We close in 2 days.
Yeah.
And then we're moving in.
Yep.
So between closing on a house, getting a contractor, getting the house fixed, moving, and setting up a whole house that is ours and only ours, with no landlords for the first time, we're not going to have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So maybe it's less in-depth dive on a movie or
Yeah, we
a
might just talk
minisode.
about some stuff that we've seen recently. We just cannot dedicate
No.
time to do some research for the next 2 weeks, most likely. So
We'll watch a 3 hours director's
Exactly.
cut of Midsummer. And
we're going to try to go see One Night in Soho. So
Last
we
night.
might... Oh, I keep...
is it last night? I thought it was last night in
It was
Soho.
one night.
So we thank you for your patience, and we hope you enjoy this episode and whatever we are able to do. And if there's any episodes you missed, go back and we have 68 other full-length episodes and a slew of mini-sodes. There's our cult episodes that we've done. There's a lot of stuff we've
Yeah.
done.
If you haven't watched Lovecraft Country, we did an episode about all of those episodes.
We did episodes per episode.
We did episodes about the episodes. That's what I
Yeah,
said.
episodes per episode of that show. Good show. Yeah, there's a lot we've done. So go back and listen to those, or we'll be doing something.
If you like this episode, you can follow us on Instagram at What Happens in the Crypt, and then we're also on Twitter at WHITC_official.
We are. But yeah, so we hope you can be patient. Thank you guys. Buying a house is a lot of work. I can't believe we made this episode.
We already had to postpone this one week.
I know. It turns out buying a house is hard.
Shocker.
Shocker. Who would have thought? Do I end with the screaming again?
No.